business with KIIT, ICSSR, and other sponsors. For this plenary session, I would like to invite our honorable guest, the chairperson, Professor BP Sanjay sir, esteemed speakers, Professor Archana R. Singh ma'am, Professor KG Suresh sir, Professor Pradeep Malik sir, to be on the dais and pay the floral tribute to Utkal Kesari, Dr. Hare Krishna Mahatav. Sir, please. Pradeep Malik sir, yes. Oh, sir is not there. Okay. My apology, I would also like to invite our Professor Pradeep Malik sir, my fellow colleague at Google News Initiative. Sir, please. Thank you, all the guests. Technology is a useful servant, but a dangerous master. These words by Nobel laureate Christian Lauslands resonate deeply in today's age of artificial intelligence. At the end, sir. Upon the okay. Movably, you will It's not required. So, as we marvel at AI's transformative potential, we are also compelled to question its ethical implications, societal impact, and the balance it strikes between innovation and human agency. Once again, Jai Jagannath, Namaskar, and good morning. I, Dr. Rajiv Kumar Panda, Associate Professor and Associate Dean of KIT School of Mass Communication. It's my privilege to moderate this session on academic and critical perspectives of AI in media, and I have also added media education. When I saw, like all our stalwarts from the academic world, they are here for this plenary session. This 8th National Media Conclave is a platform that has consistently provided space for critical discussions on pressing issues in media and communication. Our honorable founder, KIIT Kalinga Institute of Industrial Technology, Kalinga Institute of Medical Science, and Kalinga Institute of Social Science, KIT, KIMS, and KISS, Professor Dr. Achyuta Samanta sir often says, the continuation of beauty is more important than the creation of beauty. And this thought resonates with the essence of this conclave, which has reached its remarkable 8th edition. And I extend my heartiest congratulations to Professor Upendra Padhi sir, my university KIIT, and other sponsors for organizing this media extravaganza. In the era of artificial intelligence, the foundations of media education are undergoing a profound transformation. As educators, researchers, and practitioners, we stand at the intersection of rapid technological evolution and the enduring need to uphold the core values of critical inquiry, creativity, and ethical responsibility. AI is no longer merely a tool of automation. It is emerging as a co-creator in media and media education. While this brings immense opportunity, it also compels us to rethink how we prepare the next generation of media professionals, scholars, and critical thinkers. Because traditional methods of teaching media and communication are being disrupted by AI-powered tools that simulations, real-time analytics, and adaptive content. However, this raises critical questions. Are we equipping students to critically engage with AI tools or merely teaching them to use them? Second question, how do we balance technological proficiency with foundational humanistic skills such as storytelling, ethics, and critical thinking? So that the integration of AI into media and media education demands an interdisciplinary approach, bridging communication studies, data science, ethics, and public policy. Such convergence challenges traditional silos in academia, urging educators to foster collaboration that equips students with a comprehensive understanding of AI's implications. So in the AI-driven classroom, the role of educator evolves from being a source of knowledge to a facilitator of critical inquiry and ethical reflections. The question arises, how do we navigate this shift to ensure that students are not overwhelmed by technology but rather empowered by it? However, with great power comes great responsibility. As we embrace these technological advancements, we must also confront the profound ethical, societal, and regulatory challenges they bring. The academic community plays a pivotal role in decoding artificial intelligence implications for media and media education. This session aims to provide a robust platform for scholarly reflections and practical insights to guide the responsible integration of AI into media practices. Today, we are privileged to have with us a panel of luminaries who brings a wealth of knowledge and diverse perspectives to this dialogue. Let me begin by introducing our distinguished chairperson, Professor B.P. Sanjay sir. Professor Sanjay sir is a senior professor of communication and media studies at the Manipal Institute of Communication, Manipal Academy of Higher Education, Mahe. With a remarkable academic career spanning decades, he has held leadership roles, including Dean at the University of Hyderabad and founding Vice Chancellor of Central University of Tamil Nadu. Sir is a prolific scholar with recent works such as Digital Landscapes in the Indian Context and Contribution to the Political Economy of Communication Technology. His association with this conclave since its inception highlights his unwavering commitment to fostering academic discourse in media studies. I welcome you and I request everyone to have a round of applause for our chairperson, Professor B.P. Sanjay sir. We are equally honored to have with us three eminent speakers. I should start with Professor Archana Singh ma'am, though Professor K.G. Suresh sir is there, but with due apology sir, I will start with Archana Singh ma'am. So Professor Archana R. Singh ma'am, a trailblazer in communication studies and an accomplished researcher from Punjab University. Her work in health communication and community radio broadcasting has earned national and international accolades, including the prestigious Chanakya National Award. Her recent book, Beyond the Hashtag, a decade of Twitter activism in India, reflects her commitment to exploring the intersection of technology and society. Thank you, ma'am. We are again welcoming you to this last plenary session of this National Media Conclave. Next, we have Professor K.G. Suresh, because I know him very well since last 10 to 12 years. We always look forward to Professor K.G. Suresh. He is a very senior journalist and educationist and thought leader in media and communication. As the former Vice Chancellor of Makhanlal Chaturvedi National University of Journalism and Communication, Bhopal, and former Director General of IMC, Sir has been a vocal advocate for ethical media practices and public policy. His extensive experience across journalism, academia, and public health communication provides invaluable insights into the responsible use of AI, and we have seen both the organizations, IMC and Makhanlal Chaturvedi National University, reaching, soaring higher and higher under, his leadership. Next, we have Professor Pradeep Malik sir. I am also a Google News Initiative trainer. He is my fellow colleague from Google News Initiative. Sir is a distinguished academic and media professional from Pandit Dindayal Energy University with over 3 decades of experience in the media industry and academia. Sir has been instrumental in shaping media curricula and guiding research in mass communication. His interdisciplinary approach bridges theory and practice, making him a valuable voice in this session. And I am a fan of Pradeep Malik sir because when we do such type of discourses during the research paper, technical paper presentations, I have seen how thoroughly sir was involved yesterday, giving enough time to all the presenters, at least 15 to 20 minutes, 25 minutes, and the session extended up to 7:30. And I think sir, that is required, in this type of conclaves, giving more time to research scholar to present their thought in front of, those academic guides, academic leaders. So today's session will focus on critical questions such as how is AI reshaping the core principles of journalism and media ethics, what safeguards are needed to address biases and misinformation, disinformation in AI-powered media, how can academia contribute to fostering media literacy and critical thinking in the AI age. Also, all other questions, that will be added by our luminaries, by our guests. We look forward for a dynamic exchange of ideas that will deepen our understanding of AI's transformative potential while addressing its challenge. I will not be between all the panelists and you people. So with this, I am delighted to invite our chairperson, sir, Professor B.P. Sanjay sir, to set the stage for the discussion. Sir, we eagerly, eagerly await your reflections and insights. Please, sir.
distinguished colleagues on this panel, architect of the Conclave for 8 years in a row, Upendra Padi, very senior colleagues and professors who have seen through the development growth of the discipline, my young research scholars who have made an effort to prepare and come and present their thoughts to this conclave. The formulation of this particular session was premised on two aspects. One A is the academic continuity, academic orientation, and academic discourse of artificial intelligence, particularly in the higher education sector. When we say academic discourse and continuity, we have to recognize that artificial intelligence is a dynamic aspect of the growth of society, which very often prides itself in talking about revolutions, path-breaking developments, etc. It is in this context that we have to recognize the inevitable and almost natural, as many people would argue, the growth and pace of technology that, whether we like it or not, is unstoppable. But academics is also about larger frameworks of society. It's about people like you and me. And the contexts are not uniform across the world. There is no notion of homogeneity in societies. In fact, post social media, although many celebrate the immense potential of networking, what has in fact also happened is a lot of territorial echo chambers and articulation of particular points of view have become rampant, the consequences of which are recognized. So when we talk about artificial intelligence from a social science and humanities perspective, whereas our distinguished colleagues in the technology stream, schools of technology, computer science, etc., are naturally challenged in the paradigm of their disciplines to develop and respond to what they think are the appropriate processes in which they need to intervene. Social sciences and humanities, and the moderator justifiably added journalism and media as well, which in fact was at the focus, and it so happens that the panel this morning is of people associated with the discipline for many long years. Now, people talk about disruption, people talk about continuity, people talk about change. Human beings not only evolve, they grow and they change. Is there something fascinating about artificial intelligence? One can be euphoric, one can be pessimistic, one can be cynical, and one can be critical. Euphoria is the general push that it be absorbed in all institutions straight away, and the faster we do it, the faster we'll catch up with each other. That's euphoria. Optimism is wait, let us see. Society is not structured the way we think it is. It has iniquities, it has concerns. We have always talked about in the context of information rich, we have talked about the information rich, the information poor. And many a time we often think that they are just academic slogans. They are not. They are deep-rooted in terms of very strong analytical frameworks. So optimism is more about whether we can contend, should we contend with it, or is it inevitable? Pessimism, of course, translates itself from the technological school of what we call as the utopia, dystopia, and the contingency perspectives. You also have very strong philosophical positions of anything to do with technology. Critical discourses is a reflection of the human mind as to what does it all do, where does it go. Simple things like, does it help in cognition? Does it help in intelligence? Does it go back to intelligence quotient? These are critical questions that are being raised. Now, when we talk about academic institutions in the Indian context, we may not be able to generalize more than 1,500 universities. But academic institutions have a lot of challenges because they continuously cater to more people like many in the audience here, often talked about as the digital natives, unlike people like us who have got used to the technology and adapted it to our tasks. Academic institutions had, in India, by default, adapted to the COVID pandemic. The whole context of higher education, learning, and not necessarily intelligence became a challenging enterprise for academic institutions. Academic institutions are just not about leadership, programs, USPs, rankings, etc., which is the buzz of the day. Academic institutions are also about how are we translating our students into good human beings in the context in which we live. It's not always about, we are not generating robots. I have no problem with robotics, but we are not generating robots. We are generating thinking individuals. Yesterday, even the front-ranking leaders of industry mentioned that processing and aggregation is different from critical thinking. In academic institutions, when we say critical thinking, we need to look at our structures. We need to look at our governance system. We need to look at our distribution of resources. And even within academic institution, the pedagogy of learning, the pedagogy of resources. When knowledge societies came about in a big way, libraries in Indian institutions were challenged because the knowledge was aggregated as databases and which became a commercial enterprise. You and I could not anymore have access to many of the hard copy journals. We had to pay per journal article, pay per issue, pay per exposure. So what then happened to the opening remark I made about democratization of knowledge? Democratization of knowledge is a theoretical prospect because of technology and intervention. But does it happen? Not necessarily, yes. Today, artificial intelligence also is poised for a revenue model orientation and not a societal model orientation. After 2 queries, the engine says, stop it, migrate to a paid model. So that is the kind of situation we are in. So what do I do with artificial intelligence in terms of pedagogy? The moderator introduced journalism and mass communication. We had a challenge in journalism and mass communication even in the online. How do I teach practical? And many institutions took the advantage of the demystification notion of technology, handheld devices, and whether we can do something in terms of the students narrating their own stories and how journalism and the criticality of content production could be introduced. We did that. Today, in a classroom, few of us are, at my, I don't want to kind of flash my age with my Aadhaar card, but you will notice that I'm quite old at that. But I am also confronted with the task of going into 4 times a week, I need to go into a class for 90 minutes. And 90 minutes of students with very less attention span. It is not their fault. Their attention span is affected by the ecosystem in which they live. How do I do it? How do I use artificial intelligence? Before I utter a word, the student would have Googled and found out complete about the concept that I'm teaching. No harm. Because earlier we had books. We used to refer to books, and the only question was Indian library system had only 1 book for the lecturer and no book for the students. We have gone through that stage as well. So whatever is held dearly by me was knowledge that was to me, and I could disseminate it in class. Has artificial intelligence changed that? To my mind, it has changed. It's not aggregation. It is the logic and the inquiry that the student has. So, youngsters, it is not the data that is stored in the huge machines. It is the kind of questions that you ask. Education and learning is all about what is the question that I ask, and to that there will be an answer. The criticality comes not so much in the copy and the generation of data. The criticality comes in interpretation of data to make a meaningful picture. So we have a lot of challenges, and I'm sure that my colleagues who have spent long years in the profession, Archana is there, Suresh is there, Pradeep is there, all of them have confronted with challenges. Suresh, for example, had to lead 2 universities which had a different kind of language, challenge. The Bashin presentation yesterday talked about languages. He had to develop multiple programs with a particular medium of instruction. There is a bias of knowledge system also. If the bias of the knowledge system is entirely in the medium of instruction we have inherited, that is English, Indian languages suffer. So where is knowledge? Where is intelligence? Where is information? And where does it reside in the large repository of Indian languages is a very big challenge. Maybe artificial intelligence might come up with solutions to address this differential and disparate levels of educational institutions in our country. I am very optimistic, although I write in terms of a critical and a very philosophical way on technologies, etc. I am optimistic because in the past 2 or 3 years, I have realized that there are certain inherent advantages in AI. For example, synoptic assessment of documents, synoptic comparison of academic literature, scoping kind of work, all is possible extensively in AI. What happens is the time that you would spend in scoping, you can spend more time in interpretation. Every layer of data has an advantage that we can. So researchers need not despair what will happen to their jobs, etc. As long as there is a thinking mind, machines cannot take over. It is the thinking mind that monetizes knowledge, that monetizes information. The IT sector is not run by machine. Infosys could have a huge machine and run its business. No. There are layers of people, youngsters like you, working for these companies. And what do you bring to the table? You bring to your table your context, your experience, your learning, your cognition, and your abilities. Have hope that this is part of a continuum of changes in the society. It is revolutionary, if you say so, but it cannot be disruptive. It can be disruptive in the interim, like transitional period where we don't have the skills, we lose jobs. Many people have said this. But today, I'm very hopeful because in LKG onwards, people are getting into this notion of ecosystem. From the child who looks after from the mother who looks after the child and gives the cell phone when it is crying, to a kindergarten teacher who also uses YouTube and comics in classes to disrupt, we have seen come a long way, and there's a longer way to go. I am very hopeful. I would request my colleagues to throw some light, and in the order of preference that my colleagues have mentioned to me, it is Archana first, Pradeep next, and KG Suresh might have a penultimate last word, and I might have a decorative closing remark. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. I would now like to invite Professor Archana Singh for her discourse, please.
Thank you so much. Good morning to all my colleagues on stage and off stage. And I have to begin, first of all, by thanking Professor Padhi, and this is the only opportunity I'm going to get. So I have to thank Professor Padhi and also the entire organizing committee of National Media Conclave. I need to thank all the panelists. Prior to this panel, the last 2 days, I want to thank all the paper presenters whose papers I heard yesterday. All this has been a very enriching experience for me. In fact, so much so that I had prepared my PowerPoint presentation and everything when I came here, and I thought I was very well prepared. That's what I thought, and yesterday I went and I scrapped it all. I scrapped it because I was very comfortable in the known, and then I became a little uncomfortable in the unknown, So when you become uncomfortable in the unknown and unknown becomes known, you have to work all over again. So I worked, and I thought and rethought what I had to say. I restructured. And so starting from there, searching and sorting, these were the 2 words that a panelist uttered yesterday. And that's exactly what we do in journalism, don't we? And that's also what we do in academia. In fact, searching, news selection, gathering, all those things, sorting, production, news writing, everything. This is our major work. If, according to the panelist yesterday, if AI has interfered with this part, then it has really made a dent. And this, in both journalistic and academic processes, perhaps augmented it for us. Not just made a dent and augmented it, just turned the shift, right? I want to give quick examples. The first one is investigation by a Chicago City Bureau, missing in Chicago. This was an investigation that for that they built a custom AI tool, and they processed 1 million police records for systemic failure in Chicago Police Department. In Venezuela, El País and other members, they mapped illegal gold smuggling across Amazon forests, all through AI systems. In Canada, Toronto Star used AI to collate crime stories. Yesterday, a presenter told us that Deccan Herald and Prajavani and these newspapers, they used AI long time back, 6 years ago actually, with their own custom-built program. They checked their performance through that. And AI news anchor Lisa right here, is the first one to welcome us to Bhubaneswar as we get down from our flight. So it's here, it's all over here. What you can see is a multi-pronged usage of AI, very prevalent. Recognize that we can estimate audience preference, we can optimize engagement, fact-checking and verification, comment moderation, response suggestion, use of image, graphic, everything, mitigating bias and supporting research. These are all the things that, I gathered yesterday and I learned, All these processes require a human in the loop. They require a human. And this human is the one that guided, helped, constructed them, right? And made out whatever from their results. So you need that person, right? Sir said that we can be optimistic, critical, cynical. I can be all of them. I can be all of them at the same time because every fact, gives me an opportunity to be any one of them. So as an educator, I'll begin with my concerns and then perhaps move on to more pleasant areas because now we are looking at the enormity of it all and we are looking at it in context of how we are going to introduce our students into it, right? So that's where we are. So there was this recent example which I discussed with a panelist the other day. It was about this US student who was using Gemini and how Gemini cursed him. So it scared the wits out of the boy. And his sister was in the room and she said, I felt like throwing all my gadgets out of the window. This is what she expressed. Evolving media always comes with problems. It always comes with some kind of discomfort, right? But getting scolded and cursed by a machine is not what our students really need, and that's not a part of it. Gen Z is already fighting many issues, and they can, this trauma can be avoided. So this is one of the first things that, sort of made me a little worried, and there are many more. AI hallucinates. All of us know that AI hallucinates, and we know that now even more. Our students may not verify and may not have the ability to discern when it does. So that could be one issue. Commercial interests prioritize profits over genuine educational concerns. For instance, when asked if AI could go sentient, industry professionals, they agree, but they also dismiss it. However, as an educator, I would worry. To answer my own question, sentience has several views, but many pundits, they claim that not more than 10 years for AI to go sentient, including Sam Altman. He's CEO of OpenAI. He said it is possible in the near future. Now, it's a subjective term. We don't know what near future is, but sentient is going to happen. That's what he believes. So that's another area. Loss of human interaction. See, my students, everybody uses ChatGPT, we know that. So they would just pick up a topic from the syllabus and they would put it on ChatGPT, and ChatGPT would turn out like 200 pages and they would try to make sense out of it. So education is not about collecting lot of data, reams and reams of pages from some computer program. It is the teacher who, the human in the loop, who actually tells what of that syllabus, what of that entire content is part of what they should be learning. So here, the students who are not clear about their purpose may actually be misled with all that information that they can churn out. About equal access, the concerns are there. Equal access has always been an issue. Not all students will always be equally adaptable to all the technology. We know in our classes, even now, some students can write better, some students can use the computer program better, some can design better, right? So it'll be the same problem even later. Some will use AI, some will misuse AI, and some will outrightly abuse AI. So there'll be all types coming forward, right? Media products are very subjective in their objectivity, and they leave a lot of scope for interpretation. So with so much of bias seeping into the content that comes through the AI, are our students ready to reinterpret? Because AI has already interpreted it for them. So are they ready to reinterpret, to argue with the content that they get from the AI? We need to prepare them for that, to be able to, even deny what they are getting from the AI that they come. So, but most of our students, as of now, what I feel is that they are happy that somebody else is writing their dissertation for them, or, writing their answers for them. So they need to be, worked on a lot, and it should be part of our syllabus to how to train them for this. Oversimplification, homogeneity, and a perpetual standardization is what I'm seeing as things go further, because everybody is using the same packages and getting the same data, the same information, the same bias, right? Furthermore, commodification and ethical conflicts. I will not elaborate on this, we know this. Notwithstanding, maximizing potential without creating stifling echo chambers is our responsibility. I gathered in yesterday's panel discussion that personalization grows and grows. The more personalization grows, the diversification we have been striving for, the variety or plurality of viewpoints that we have been fighting for are going to be thrown out of the window, either be thrown out of the window or put in a very, very tight filter bubble, So in that case, responsibility of media educators is vast, right? So this is like a turning point, let's say. So our job is to make them think. And like Sir just said, logic and inquiry. That's what we need to inculcate in them. Yeah, so I would say that, the famous 5 Ws and 1 H that we have, the 4 Ws can be tackled by Gen AI. Let's do the what, when, where, who. But let the teachers do the hows and the whys properly, right? Let not the student ask Gen AI the hows and the whys. And so we'll keep the inquiry and, logic with us so that we can interpret and help them interpret it. So for the purpose of, like I said, for the purpose of the first 4 Ws, we need to train them. We need to train them to give the right prompts, to ask the correct questions. For that also they need training. For example, I did this little experiment with the ChatGPT. I gave it a story, a set of facts, and I asked it to write a story in inverted pyramid. But for that, slowly I kept on changing the prompt. So in the first prompt, I said, write it in inverted pyramid. It wrote very long. Then I gave it the number of words. Then it decreased. Then I gave it block paragraphs. It made block paragraphs. Then I gave it keywords for every paragraph. It made keywords for every paragraph. By the end of 5th attempt, I had a very nice inverted pyramid with shuffleable block paragraphs and required keywords. But to give all those prompts, I need to know my theory. I've used the easiest example, but I need to know it, right? I need to say, do this. So that is what we need to teach them, right? For the rest of it, we can't ask it to give us reasons because of the very, very big reason that we already know, that it hallucinates. It hallucinates, it makes up. Even in the story, in the set of facts that I asked, the AI hallucinated and made up quotes. So I told him / her / it, whatever you want to call it, I said that you are lying, or you are wrong, you are mistaken. So it says, yes, I'm sorry. This is made up. It agreed. So it's honest that way. But then we need to know. We need to know and catch it where it is making up a quote. It'll make up. So students have to be very, very careful about that, you know. But we can use the real-time analytical tools. It'll help us in our digital storytelling. VR, AR, AI can create great tools for immersive learning. It's wonderful for specially abled students. I have a visually impaired student in my class, and she dares to come into this profession because she is assisted by so many tools. So it's very good for them. And yesterday's session also, you know, told us about Bhashini app, and sir also just discussed Bhashini app. I mean, I feel so optimistic about it because now our students can be journalists in 22 languages, you know, just by studying one. So really, it's going to take us very far. And so I quickly downloaded the app and I experimented with it also. For teachers, the use of AI is unimaginable, and it is so heartening because it's a lot of work that it can do for us. Automated grading system, administrative tasks that suck the blood out of young faculty, that is so difficult, you know, can be done by AI, and like the Honorable Vice Chancellor said on the first day, it is already being done. So that's there. Performance analysis of students. Curriculum development, we can actually see curricula from all over the world to develop ours. Collating and analysis of data, both academic and administrative. It can do all those things, you know, but what it cannot do, it cannot replicate the intrinsic motivations from personal connection with teachers. It cannot do that. Teachers shall always be there, acting as humans in the loop, right? If a student has a problem, then the mentor has to be a teacher. So this loop is getting tighter and tighter, but having a human helps, you know, because it is after all human intelligence that created artificial intelligence. So human in the loop. Going forward, I want to cast an eye on a very important aspect, which is media research. Let me first clarify, research using AI is rather common. The number of dissertations that AI is writing is not even funny anymore, right? And earlier we started using the plagiarism detecting tools in last decade. But that's so last decade, right? Because now we have AI detecting tools. The thing is that we are not here in the business of outsmarting our students. I've had cases I've seen where teachers give an assignment with one instruction in white font. You know what that means? For instance, write an essay on stereotypes. That's in black. And then there'll be one line in white font saying, you have to include Walter Lippmann's name 15 times. Now the students who actually sit down and read up Walter Lippmann's famous essay will quote him only once or maybe twice, right? But those who put it in ChatGPT, because ChatGPT does not, the white font does not bother him. Naked eye cannot see the white font. It'll read the white font and it'll say, oh, I have to quote Lippmann 15 times. So the person who has written it with ChatGPT will write Walter Lippmann 15 times and you can count, right? Now that's a way of outsmarting. Okay, tumne use kiya, pakad liya, dekha. That's not what we are doing, right? I don't agree, but this is what is being done. So this is not what we are meant to be doing. We are meant to be teaching them to understand that ChatGPT is not writing better than you. If you read Walter Lippmann's essay, you just have to quote him once and you can do it. So that's the idea. But this is being done. So the tools, plagiarism checking and all this, I'm not so much in favor of that. But then they are there, yes, yeah, we can use them. But we keep the decision making in research in our own hands and we carry out our own research. I have some quick list of tools. Cite, it analyzes citations. Chat PDF summarizes PDFs and extracts information. Research Rabbit helps to find research papers and explore new topics. Scholarly helps in screening literature review. Connected Papers helps in creating visual maps of literature review. Then there is Perplexity AI. Then there is Julius AI for statistical tools. Elicit is a research search engine. Scopus, it provides a database and tools for researchers. So now, should we ask ChatGPT to write our dissertation? No, we write it ourselves and use all these tools to help us. They'll help us to quicken the process, to make it more organized. It'll help us to maybe more concise in our writing. So we can do that. That's all we need. For example, literature review. See, when you have 120 reviews in front of you and you need to write the literature review in thematic chronology, it's a daunting task. But if you give it the right prompts, it'll create the themes and it'll put it in that order, and it'll put it in chronology very easily. So these are the things we need. Or you want to change the format from APA to Chicago, it'll do it like this. So why not? Why not? So in research, what tools to use, what not to use? When to use AI and when not to use? These are the questions. And these questions will be answered by that human in the loop. The supervisor, the teacher, the guide, he's going to ask. Fortunately, we are a generation of learners. All of us, most of us here, we are the original digital natives. And we became digital immigrants, as Sir just quoted Mark Prensky when he talked about digital natives. That's what we are, the original ones. We were introduced to computers through mainframes, and then we started using word processors. And the Professor Gupta is my teacher. I did my dissertation under him, and I typed my dissertation in a very magical word processor that we used to have at that time called WordStar. And in the introduction, I wrote self-typed on WordStar, like I'd done something so great. We are that generation. So we've seen so many changes since then, from then and now, right? So we've seen so many innovations, and we are seeing this one, right? It is a path-breaking innovation, but so was printing press, so was television, so was internet. So it is here now. There is a word I have, last thing, the term that I like to use for AI. I want to use my AI as a genius intern. Genius, because it can do things quickly, as per instruction. It can give you a lot of material. It can, follow your instructions very well. It is a genius, but it is an intern. It needs to be trained by you. So it's not your guide, not your teacher, not your boss. Let it always remain an intern, and let us coexist with the genius intern. Thank you.
Good morning to everybody. Respected professors on the dais, and my dear friends, and my professor in front of me. Sixth session, so 5 sessions, plenary sessions down the line, and almost 100 papers, and we are here in the 6th plenary. On the very opening day, by the time we were in the 3rd or the 4th session, and Professor Archana and we were sitting beside each other there, and we were wondering what do we say, what do we speak on the last day? Because almost everything that we wanted to talk, we wanted to share with you is being said. And we were very sure that one more day is to go, and so many things will be shared tomorrow. So we do not know what to. So we decided that let us divide among ourselves what we should talk. We shouldn't repeat ourselves. But I'm very sorry. There will be some repetition, ma'am. All right, but I'll try not to do. So when we were told about we are going to speak on critical perspectives and AI in media, originally it was supposed to be AI in teaching and learning or something of that sort, and finally we are talking in terms of academics and critical perspective on AI. So I was wondering, as Professor Panda was introducing me, he told you that we are part of Google News Initiative, where we do use lots of AI tools to what we call fake busting and digital verification, etc. We do a lot of those things. We have been using a lot of those AI tools. We have been using it for almost 5 years now. And when it was these tools were very primitive. But today they are very advanced, and as I am speaking to you, it is getting more and more advanced. By the time I finish, it will have a new version, probably, many of those tools. They are evolving so very fast. We have to update ourselves almost every 6 months, almost. So what I thought that since we are going to discuss AI in teaching and learning, so why not do a chota sa exercise? And I did a chota sa exercise. So I sent a very small prompt, very generic prompt, and we'll talk about prompt writing. Ma'am has already touched upon it, but I'll also, if time permits, I'll touch upon it. So I sent a very generic prompt to not a very specific tools, lots of tools ma'am has spoken about, and I have also a list of maybe 100 tools with me. But I'll speak about some of those. So I put it on simple Google's, not Google search. Yeah, when I logged in, search bar comes, and that is Google search bar. I put there, not in any AI tool. I put the prompt was simple, very simple, as I said, very generic. AI in teaching learning process. That's it. And the Cider Fusion, which comes by default, almost anybody who has downloaded that Cider Fusion quickly gave me this, and I'm reading it out to you. Cider Fusion says, automate administrative tasks such as grading and organizing assignments, freeing teachers to focus more on instruction. Furthermore, AI-powered tutoring systems can provide support outside of classroom hours, outside of regular classroom hours, helping students with homework and challenging concepts. And then the disclaimer. However, it's essential to remember to double-check important information and consider ethical implications of AI used in education. Thank God it used the word, please check the ethical aspect. Now, a few key words here, and from there probably I will be able to speak to you. Grading automated. It sounds very nice to say that let AI do all those clerical work for you, all those repetitive work for you, and you focus more on creative work. Now, I was asking myself, is not grading a creative work? Is it repetitive? Unless it's a multiple choice question, closed-ended questionnaire, A, B, C are the choices, A, B, C, D, E are the choices, you can do that. But what about when we are asking students to analyze something? Learning outcome or course outcome, the Bloom's taxonomy, if we can talk of level 4 and 5 and 6, when we are asking them to analyze, when we are asking them to compare, when we are asking them to create something, and you are asking me to automate that evaluation? If I automate it, how am I going to see the genius of individuals? So how am I going to see the nuances? We are in the field of media, teaching and practice. How are we going to feel the nuances of the language that we use? And we know the word makes the narrative change, or the words make narrative change. How are we going to see that? So it may give us lots of solutions, but as the theme of this session is, and as our chair and the moderator have already outlined, we need to have that critical thinking. We need to have that questioning all the time. Even if we outsource this evaluation to AI, we need to have the bird's eye view on that. We need to be in control of something, right? So then it says freeing teachers to focus more on instruction. Now, if we are going to focus more on instruction and talking about AI, what are we going to instruct them? AI, as ma'am just told you, and I have also, as I said, a list of 100 tools to help me. What am I going to teach my students? Again, taking from media education, training and practice, the very fundamental, we start with the introduction to print medium, and we say that writing is done in that inverted pyramid style, which ma'am just explained how she refined and finally she got something. What are we going to teach our students? Are we going to teach our students, should we be teaching our students writing in inverted pyramid, or should we be teaching our students in writing the prompts? I am a little old-fashioned journalist, trained in the old school of journalism, practiced old school of journalism with modern gadgets and technology. I worked in, normally we don't take organization's name, but I worked in Times of India for 17 years and rose to become an editor there. We are known to incorporate technology, the latest technology. We used to be trained on the latest technology. We used all those technology, but we retained that right of mine or ours of writing what we want to write. Nobody can dictate us, including, you'll be surprised to know, including the publishers can't dictate what has to be written there. People often think that media is, the publishers who have invested heavily influence the content and all. My personal experience, no, nobody. If publishers couldn't influence my writing, do you think I will allow my technology to influence my writing? And hence, here comes our critical understanding of what has to be done in the classroom. So that, because we are teaching our students to go and work, most of the time we are teaching our students to become professionals, not scholars. Some of our students do become scholars, some of them do become teachers and do great job. But primarily, most of the time we want our students to become, good professionals. So we are going to train them for an industry which is using this modern technology. So we must give them an exposure to modern technology, but the fundamental training that I underwent and my teachers underwent, and what I am trying to do with, or my generation is trying to do with the next generation, is that training them in that very fundamental, the very basic, in answering those 5W and H. And as one of my legendary editors, I had the privilege of working with Bachi Karkaria. She was my editor. I hope you read her columns in Times of India. So many years ago, when we were launching Ahmedabad Times, the city-specific supplement of the Times of India, every city has that, Bombay Times, Pune Times, Bangalore Times. I had the privilege of launching Ahmedabad Times way back in 1997, October 1997, 26th October. I remember the date. It was a great day for us. That time, 1997, she told us, look, 5W and H are important, but Pradeep, she, in her accent, Parsi accent, she says, Pradeep, we need to add T to it, 5W and H and technology. 2024, it's 97, it's 27 years, and we are saying now technology has become dominant. No, it is not. It was important even then, and we had realized it, and we had started training our people. I was in the industry, so we had started people in my team on that. When you are writing, take care of your technology. Do explain technology. All right. So with, a rather long background to my talk, but here I am. I wrote a couple of points. So how has the knowledge developed? It's very akin, the development of knowledge, or the way we are gathering, making ourselves more and more intelligent it's similar to how human beings have evolved from food gatherer to settlers and hence growers of food and hoarders of food. That's another debate, how that brought politics in our evolutionary system when we became hoarders of, and hence I can control society. So something similar has happened with the knowledge also, the pedagogy also for all of us. So if from what we were in our first day, on our first day, and which Archana ma'am just gave references to, sorting and what is it? Searching and sorting. So knowledge has evolved from searching, that is gathering knowledge, to sorting it, holding it in a certain way, or folding, keeping it in brackets in a certain manner. So look at the similarity in how that has, the evolution of human evolution and the knowledge gathering. So my point is that since knowledge industry or the knowledge ecosystem, the way it is developing, and we are training our students in our classroom, or our trainees in the newsroom, or in the creative suite of advertising agency, or in the corporate boardroom of a corporate communication or a corporate, our syllabus and pedagogy has to be in tune with this evolutionary graph that we have. All right. Now, AI, since day one, we have been listening, so many things are happening, and it is scaring us, scaring to some of us, and some of us are seeing opportunities. We saw some of the entrepreneurs here on this very days making the best of this opportunity, these opportunities that they have. And some of us becoming very scared, will it take away job? That has been settled now. It is not going to take away job. It will only create jobs for more qualified people, for people who have greater skills and better skills. I think it is pretty settled now. Now, every wave that has come has unsettled the previous wave. Then the printing book or printing press came, the established power structure of the day was scared. And Professor Gupta in his memorial lecture referred to that, how the King of England, and who happened to be the chief of the religious faith that they have, banned reading and writing and expanding Bible. So because they were a little scared of this disruption called book, which was at that point of time Bible. When radio came, people said, now you can listen, who will read? When television came, people said, oh, you can read, you can hear and see who is going to read, who is going to listen to radio. And we have seen that all of them have survived, and almost all of them are doing well. Maybe not as well as they were doing a couple of decades ago, but they are surviving, and rest assured they will survive. Otherwise, radio should have died many decades ago. Theatre should have died many centuries ago, actually. If not many centuries, maybe a century ago when the film came. Theatre should have died. Theatre has been dying for, as they say, for the last 700 years, or 800 years, or 1,000 years. It will never die. So instead of getting scared of this disruptive technology that is coming our way, we have to make best use of all this. And that's what we have been talking about. While making best use of it, we have to make sure that, again, I'm repeating what others have said, and it's not a new wisdom, that technology can only be your friend, your ally, but can never be your master. And a new term that we just learned, it could be, instead of AI, it could be a GI, genius intern. Genius intern. I just learned that. So we have to make best use of it. If we are not scared, we can harness this technology and we can do the best. Now, very quickly, where all we are doing, what we are doing, this will come from some of the things that I am doing, we are doing, not I, we are doing on my campus. I come from Pandit Dindayal Energy University. It's primarily a technology campus where we do a lot of business and a lot of humanities and social sciences also. So where all we are using it is coming from there, and I left industry about 10 years ago to become a full-time professor. I just said about 10 years ago. I don't know, should I say only 10 years ago, or should I say 10 years ago I left the industry? So much has changed. But I'm in touch with my colleagues in my previous organizations, and I keep updating myself what they are doing and how they are doing. What we have realized is that they are doing it, they have a protocol, and they are very serious about that protocol. All the points in those protocols. They will just not allow their people to exceed those protocols. SOPs are ready. You cannot breach those protocols and SOP. Fine. So if they have the SOP, we on our campus also have an SOP, which I'm sure will evolve, which become better and more, more user friendly, and help us further. So how we are doing, what we are doing, and what we intend to do on our campus. For example, we are, as I said, we are a private university. Admission is a major exercise for us, unlike many state universities. So it all begins with the admission. In my school is known as School of Liberal Studies. We are thankful to God. We get very good applications, lots of rush for those 400 odd seats. We get almost 5 times, 6 times, more than 6 times applications for that. So we are not really worried about how to get and where to get students from. What we are worried about is how to get the best of these students from these 2,500 or 3,000 odd applications. We need those 400 people. How to get the best. So what we are doing now is using AI to sort out our applications. Okay, we are School of Liberal Studies. We are very happy if you have 99 percentile. Welcome. But we are also very happy if you have only 45 percentile, provided you are open to this new pedagogy called liberal studies. If you are open to that, your family is open to that, you are welcome to it. So it helps us sort out all this, because we ask our students, and I'm aware that not every university does it, but that's what we do, and I'm sure many universities must be doing. While with the application, you also have to write an SOP, which is a very standard procedure in Western universities. When you are applying for admission, you have to write a statement of purpose. So we use the AI to sort out these SOPs along with their background, etc. So we get a very good categorization of students. We are able to do that. Now, do you think we are going to go by what AI has given me the output? If I do, then I do it at my own peril. We are not going to stop there. We don't stop there. When the interview comes, when the Viva comes, and every student has to undergo this Viva. It's not that you have to qualify the written test and then come for Viva. No, Viva is an integral part of your admission process. When the Viva is taking place, that output is before us. And we are not going strictly by that output that AI has. AI has only helped us understand the student. Even before that student comes us, we know a little bit about that student, about the background, about the mental stage that student is, and then one-to-one, that gives us the insight. So we have harnessed technology, but we have retained that human superiority on that. I may take an arrogant view that we humans are better than technology, because technocrats will say that we can always outfox you. But that's another debate we are not getting into. So this is what so starting from admission, now once they come to the classroom, they come with certain expectation. And what is that expectation? The best of the syllabi, the best of the syllabus delivered by best of the professors. I don't know if we qualify that much, but we try our best. Best of the syllabus, that is to say content, to be delivered by best of the faculty in best of the manners in an easy way. So there again we are trying to do. I remember sometime in 2008 or 9, Professor Biplab Loha Chaudhary, Shanti Niketan was going to celebrate 150 years of birth anniversary of Tagore, and they were compiling a compendium kind of a thing. And one of the things that was there, journalism education in India. I don't remember was it journalism education or mass communication education. So he asked me to write. I'm talking of sometime around 2008-9. Google was there. But journalism education in India, so I thought that, I must see what is happening in India. So how do I know what is being taught and how it is being taught? So I put it on search. I did get a couple of. So when I wrote final chapter, I remember very well, it had only 12 references. Only 12 references, because I could get only 12 syllabi on the internet. Rest all a couple of other syllabi physically that I was in Ahmedabad at that point of time, so physically I could get hold of some of the syllabi and I analyzed all that, wrote a paper. But today, if I want to do the same exercise, as ma'am was saying, I can go to search engine and there are lots of search engines. Ma'am has already spoken to a couple of them, and if need be, I can share with you all. I can go there, the AI will fetch me, I'm sure it will fetch me more than 1,000 syllabi. I'm sure about it. I have not done it. We are going to do it sometime in January because February we have our board of studies and we have to produce a new syllabus. So it will fetch me thousands of syllabi, and there are tools which can analyze and give me a syllabi ready. Now remember, that time, and this is just about 2008 or 9, so which is about 15, 16 years ago, I had immediate access to only about a dozen syllabi. Today I have access to 1,000 syllabi. Look at the enrichment, look at how enriched that syllabi is likely to be, provided I put my human intervention there. I can't only rely on them because, as we all know, AI can hallucinate also. It can make up. But then there are ways of controlling those hallucinations. And who will control that hallucination? We have to control that hallucination. Degree of freedom that you are, temperature as they call it in their language, the temperature that you set, you are going to. So not temperature, if you have 1 to 10, on 1 to 10, 10 is the most creative and 1 or 0 is not at all creative. You have to be based only on facts. Now, who is going to decide? Should I be creative with my syllabi or should I be very strict with my syllabi? If I am going to teach civil engineering, I'll put temperature at 0. Please, please, please don't be creative, because otherwise this bridge that I am going to build, my students are going to build, will collapse. The building that my students are going to build will collapse if you are going to be creative. But if I am creating a syllabi for, let us say, advertising, or for that matter, the plain vanilla introduction to print medium, I can have a syllabi and that temperature can be up to 10. I can be very, very creative with that also. So who is going to do that, and how will I get that idea whether my temperature should be 0 or 1 or 2 or 9 or 10? Who is going to decide, and under what circumstances who is going to decide? So we have to retain that control. And then finally, which I started off with, evaluation. Yes, evaluation, when it comes to multiple choice and all, we can outsource it to AI. But my understanding is that in areas like communication, where so much of creativity and accompanying the creative freedom that comes to these media professionals, if we are to enjoy our creative freedom, then we have to think in terms of not leaving it to AI. Human intervention is needed, and that will do the best job. So these are some of the areas where AI is being used, we are using it, and we are training our students to be prepared for the newsroom on day 1, assignment 1. You are performing, you are not blinking, oh, what to do, what is this AI to do, what has that AI to do. Okay. So the way ma'am conducted an experiment, writing that intro, all of us, we do a lot of work. We know that students are smarter than, at least I can assure you, they are smart. My students are smarter than I am so far as technology is concerned, and in many other areas also they are smarter than I am. So what we do is the way, hide that with white font that it can't read, and then you have 15 references to, what name you said, ma'am? 15 references to? Walter Lippmann. 15 references to Walter Lippmann, the legendary editor of Washington Post, and you catch them. But as she said, we are not in the business of outsmarting them, because I know they are better than I, so there is no point in trying to outsmart them. But what I do for sure is that give them an assignment, make it very clear, please, please, please use AI. Okay, I give them the tools, they know. Most of the students by now, they know the tools. And then you have to bring it now in my classroom, in front of me, you have to give me the critique of what the AI has given you. You have to speak up. Okay? So there comes then students start reflecting on what AI, the output that the AI has given them. Reflection leads to critical questions, critical thinking, classroom interaction, and then look at the way class develops. My God, I am overwhelmed with, I tell you, the students always pleasantly surprise us. And why am I pleasantly surprised? Because I thought that these students are copying from AI. I was underestimating them. And if I had stuck only by, okay, copying them and I'm, dismissing them off, who would have been the loser? Students know, as I told you, they are smarter than I am. I would have been loser. I would have lost a good bunch of bright students who, for all you know, will go to the industry or go to the academics and do wonders. Right? So this is how we are trying to use AI, and I'm sure many people are using it. They are trying to use AI and inculcating that spirit of questioning, that spirit of free thinking, that spirit of liberal thinking in education. And I'm sure the grounding that they get now is going to stay with them all their lives, and they will build further on that. Thank you very much. Lot of tools I have. I said we can share it at some other time, on some other day, on some other occasions. Thank you very much. We'll take some question answers at the end if time permits. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Respected Chairperson, my predecessor at Indian Institute of Mass Communication, Professor B.P. Sanjay, other esteemed fellow panelists, Professor Archana Singh, my friend Professor Pradeep Malik, and of course my former colleague and a dear young friend for a long time, Dr. Rajiv Panda, and all the esteemed, distinguished faculty members who are present here, research scholars and dear students. First of all, my compliments to Professor Upendra Padi. This is perhaps I have been attending a lot of academic conferences, particularly in the discipline of mass communication. But I must say that this is perhaps the first time that 3 days were exclusively dedicated to discussion on artificial intelligence, which is today being widely debated, and particularly in the context of media, in the context of industry, in the context of the media industry. There was hardly any aspect of AI which has not been covered in the last 3 days. And for me, because right now I have been entrusted by the University Grants Commission, I'm a panel member for creating the curriculum framework for, under the NEP 2020. Perhaps there could not have been a more appropriate forum for learning, for receiving so many valuable insights and inputs. So my compliments to Professor Padi for organizing this wonderful conference. I think the disadvantage of being the last speaker is that almost all the points that you wanted to, highlight have already been spoken by my previous speakers. So it enables me to sum it up in a way. But a couple of points. As I have been introduced, I've been a journalist and academician. I've written research papers, book chapters, prefaces, but unfortunately or fortunately for the students and unfortunately for me, I've never written a book. Because I never got the time, because I believe that it requires a lot of academic rigor and I did not believe in asking one of my research scholars to write a book for me. So I thought that I'll keep it for the later stage of my life. But only this morning, Professor Sanjay, I came to know that I'm a prolific author. You can call it narcissism, you can call it curiosity. I decided to ask AI, who is KG Suresh? Aham Brahmasmi. So AI told all the good things, It was a virtual Suresh Chalisa, But one very important thing, it highlighted that I am a prolific author of several books which are being taught at several Indian universities. From where did AI come to know about it? AI is really futuristic, I must say. It has started imagining, and who says AI cannot be creative? I mean, it can even write fiction. So I'll start on that note that, we have been, a few years back when I organized a conference at IIMC, a very prominent teacher from the United States asked me something very interesting. He said, Professor Suresh, are we grooming journalists in our classrooms or are we grooming technocrats? So much of emphasis on technology that we forget that whether it is, earlier the video technology and subsequently the digital technology, and now AI and ML and AR and VR, animation. The focus is so much on technology that the focus has shifted from journalism. And that is what is increasingly missing in this country, I'm sorry to say. We have a lot of technology, but there is very little of journalism. And that is, as a media practitioner and a media teacher, that's my biggest concern today. That where is journalism heading towards? That are we losing sight, so much of focus in the classroom on digital lab, on video lab, on virtual storytelling, visual storytelling, immersive learning, all the new terms, the new vocabulary, the new terminologies. They have swamped us like anything, but we are not talking about basic journalism. How many of our students know what constitutes an electoral college for a president and an electoral college for a vice president? These are simple things about the Constitution of India, about the laws, the IPCs and CRPCs which have now become part of the BNS, the Bharatiya Nyaya Sanhita. How many are aware of the ethics, the code of conduct? I really don't know. So much of focus in classrooms. Wherever I go, I travel across the country, go to different classrooms, and wherever I go, they always tell me, sir, we are doing this lab, we are doing this, we are doing this, we are doing Mojo, we are doing, okay, you're doing Mojo, but first do Joe. Joe is more important. So that is the most critical thing. Are we losing sight of journalism? What is journalism? And can AI do journalism? Except maybe it can. I'm not opposed to technology. But I believe that technology can be a facilitator. But not more than that. AI tools can be complementary to a media educator. But it cannot replace the media educator. It cannot replace classroom experience. The virtual experience cannot. That is important. If my students are to be only told about AI, why should they come to the classroom? Am I able to, sometimes I really wonder that what about investigative journalism? Can AI do investigative journalism? I have been for the last 3 years, I am on the panel of the Ramnath Goenka Awards, which is considered one of the most prestigious awards in the country, along with Justice B.M. Sri Krishna and our S.Y. Qureshi Sahab. And believe me, investigative stories have disappeared from the so-called national media. It is now there only in the language media, to some extent. Now, can AI do investigative stories? No. What about the empathy that is the most critical quality in a journalist? Does it have empathy? It doesn't. So, can you imagine journalism with AI and without human oversight? We cannot. Today is the era of toolkits. Agenda-driven journalism is a reality today. Let's face it. Who will give that critical input? AI can give you only what is there. I mean, today there is so much of emphasis today, Professor Archana, on Indian knowledge system, Bharatiya Gyan Parampara. What can AI do in that? You don't have anything about, Bharatiya Gyan Parampara or Indian knowledge system, hardly any material on the web. You hardly find. So, who will do that? What about research on marginalized sections of the society, the underrepresented sections in the mass media, who are even today, who are hugely underrepresented, a large chunk of this country, whether it is rural, whether it is the, backward regions of the country. Hardly media or anybody talks about them. Can AI algorithms pick up stories from there? No. It will have to be the human, the reporter, who has to go there, who has to do that documentation first. There is no primary data available on a lot of tribes, on indigenous knowledge. Hardly any data available. We haven't yet worked on that. So, I believe that I am a great supporter of technology. In fact, I want to be, I always say that we are digital migrants, or what we say like you divide history into two parts. Before Christ and Anno Domini, you divide media into two parts, BG and AG, before Google and after Google. So we are the before Google generation here, and most of you are the after Google generation. So we are transforming, learning. But what it has done is that the focus has shifted from research to search. Whether it is Google or the chatbots, the focus is no more on research, the focus is on search. Are you using the right keyword? Is that research? What about anthropological research? Who will go to the ground level? That is what journalism is all about. Ground zero reporting from ground zero. AI cannot do that. So what is happening is that we are all in our echo chambers. AI will tell us what we want to listen, not what we have not listened. That's what journalism has to do. Tell us stories that we have not heard. Tell us stories which have not been told. This is what journalism should be telling us. Now, can we do that? Can AI help us in that? That is what we need to. The National Education Policy also talks about the NETF, the National Education Technology Platform. It's a very prominent platform, which has been conceived in the National Education Policy about bringing educational technology, learning management systems, for assessment, for everything. But it can, as I said, that particularly from a media point of view, maybe, in terms of natural sciences, AI can be, or engineering, it can be utilized much more effectively. But for something like media, which is the fourth estate, the voice of the voiceless, which is about talking about all sections of society, I think that it necessarily has to be AI plus. It cannot be just AI. I just want to flag just more couple of points, because we are already running, just a couple of points which I noted down. I believe that yes, it's a very powerful tool, particularly in visualization, in breaking down huge data. It's immensely useful. But then the question is that, where is the data coming from? What about the bias? The data bias which is there. Who collected it at the end of the day? It can do data analytics, but then where is the data coming from? That is important. The data is at the end of the day provided by, say the census data is there. It has been compiled by the, census officials. So how can you eliminate the bias part of, AI? That is a big challenge before us, because AI comes with its own, based out of whatever narratives are present there, it comes with those prejudices. And last but not the least, I believe that ethics is a very important part of it. Privacy issues are there. Data privacy issues are there. So I believe that, again, technology dependency. Recently, all the Indigo flights, Professor Sanjay, were grounded on a day because the system just collapsed. Imagine if we become so, we have seen in certain science fiction movies. Imagine if it pervades every aspect of our lives. I have seen it at least in terms of airlines. I have seen it in banks, bank operations coming to a grinding halt because there is a system failure. Imagine it happening in every part of our life, in every aspect of our life. I remember watching that, movie, I don't recollect the name, where the person is totally taken over by another person. His identity is taken over by another person. Everything, like we have the Aadhaar card now. Similarly, this person becomes that person, and that person becomes non-existent. Are we moving towards that? I remember one professor from Kolkata had come to our university, and he met a very senior professor in our university who was on the verge of retirement. And they were introducing to each other. So he was saying that I have taught at Banaras Hindu University and all that stuff. So this young professor from Kolkata asked him that, are you on Facebook? He said, no. Are you on X or Twitter, whatever it was? Are you on Instagram? Are you on LinkedIn? He said, no, I am not on any of these platforms. Then he said, sorry, professor, for me, you don't exist. If you are not on any of these platforms, you don't exist. Are we moving towards that, where if we are not technologically alive, if we are not technologically existing, we don't exist? Then what about the large sections of society which will go unrepresented, which has no voice? What happens to them? Is it that real digital divide we are going to talk about, the technology divide we are going to talk about? These are ethical concerns we need to address. It's very important. I remember, lastly, a movie which was in Malayalam. It was a science fiction movie. I think its name was, it is available on the net. Some of you should watch, even though it is in Malayalam, it speaks a universal language. It is called Android Apachan or something like that. It is about a robo. A son gets employment in Russia, and he doesn't have time for his father who is living alone. So he builds a computer with his fiancée to look after his father. And the robo starts looking after his father serving him food, and so much so that initially the father resisted, opposed. But then finally there is a bond between the father and the robo who is called android, whatever. They develop a very strong bond. And finally, he becomes emotionally so much dependent that once when the son comes home to visit his father, the father does not want the son to be around. He always wants to be with this robo. Always. Then he asks the robo something and the robo says that, "Sir, I only have whatever your son has fed into me. I don't have anything for you, any emotion for you, which I can replace your son." And then there comes a malfunction in the robo, and the robo tries to murder the son. And that is when the father, I think you have seen that movie, and the father then hacks this computer when the robo tries to. It's a very moving film, you know. It's a very futuristic kind of a thing. So it's an emotion-less, empathy-less system, and particularly for journalism, for mass communication, I think that it can be a facilitator. It can really help us in a lot of data analytics, visualization. Certainly, you know, it can be very helpful to us, but as I said, that these biases will have to be kept in mind. We have to be the voice of the voiceless. We have to have that empathy factor. We have to have that, journalistic ethics, which has to be there. So how can we strike that delicate balance in media education, where we are able to weave in technology with content, which is at the end of the day, we used to say content is the king, queen, prince, princess. So content is important, is at the heart of journalism, and without compromising on content, how can we utilize the power, harness the power of technology for the larger benefit of the society and the mankind is the big question. On that note, I want to leave it so that you can think about it, ponder over it, and we can come to conclusions maybe at a later stage. Thank you, Professor Padi, for organizing that. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, KG sir, for your always, thoughtful and inspiring speech. Your name, as you always mention, has become synonymous with thought-provoking ideas, fittingly as KG also symbolizes weight, reflecting the depth and significance of your insights. So we have another five minutes with us, so we can have. Okay. Okay, I'm so sorry for the audience. There is no Q&A as we are running short of time for the valedictory. So I would like to request our chairperson, Professor BP Sanjay sir, for his closing remarks. Sir, please.
Thank you, panelists, for that excellent summation of both prospective and critical points. Padi has given me a brief that it has to be 90 seconds and less, so I'll try to compress it. The moderator, of course, set the tone and amplified the scope of the discussion for a specific intervention in journalism and media, which was welcoming. Archana saying, I divided the speakers into three plausible scenarios. Archana focused on what it is and what are the possibilities and what are the limitations and how it can be used and what is its application in research. Pradeep was practical, in trying to sell us how it can be incorporated in pedagogy, and also drew from his experience in terms of the Google initiative, and clearly demarcated the difference between aggregation, analytical, and the tool of AI in the present context. Suresh was both philosophical, practical, and critical. He harped upon the fundamental question where and whether and whither journalism in the AI era. You also asked a more recurrent question that we have been asking. Is there representation in the present context possible? Which is a very valid observation, because it can analyze and be logical from the huge database it has. What happened was, when big data came into the picture, big data needed an application. Let us also understand the industrial and economic imperative of AI. Big data aggregation was an important phase when data got aggregation to such an extent that they needed to have a tool for its monetization. That is when they said that big data is fine, but big data analytics is important. And then they said analytics has to have a logic and reasoning, and logic and reasoning are related to intelligence, and therefore we will have artificial intelligence as a driver of modern economy. Some of these things have happened. There is a logic, there is a trajectory in what is happening, but as the three academic colleagues have spoken, they all have recognized that while it's a fascinating tool, no doubt about it, it also raises some of the fundamental questions in a country like India. Always India is both a test case, a paradox, and it represents the magnitude of the problem for any great believer in either technology or non-believer. On that note, I've taken 95 seconds. Thank you very much. That's it.
Thank you, sir. I would now like to request Upendra Pathi, sir, for the felicitation of the chairperson and all the speakers. Please, sir. This is the formal vote of thanks, but I will be very brief. Gratitude is not only the greatest virtues, but the parent of all others. So with these words by Cicero, I extend my heartfelt gratitude to all who made this session a resounding success. respected Chairperson, sir. Your profound insights have set the tone for an engaging and meaningful discussion. To all our esteemed speakers, Professor Archana Singh ma'am, Professor K.G. Suresh and Professor Pradeep Malik, sir, your thought-provoking presentations have been a masterclass in understanding the intersections of AI and media education. A special thanks to Upendra Padhi, sir, and all the organizing committee members and all the volunteer, like students, all the research scholars. A special thanks to KIT University, because I am from KIT University. So, Upendra Padhi, sir, where are you? Like, sir will take next time onwards, you will not be the moderator, because you are saying KIT University and you founder many times, and that's my responsibility, that's my job. So, sir, kindly excuse me. So, a special thanks to like everyone. Thank you very much. I look forward seeing you in the subsequent sessions. Jai Jagannath. Thank you very much.
I just wanted to share, because in continuation with what we all were talking about, the human in the loop, the role of the teacher, the guru, and how important the teacher is for every student. I was standing here and speaking in front of my teacher who taught me in Master of Journalism at BHU. At the end of my speech, he sent this little note for me. Through a volunteer. It says, "Dear Archana, I am happy and proud of you." No AI guru can do this, right? No, this cannot happen through a machine. It only happens between human beings, and I'm so indebted, sir. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Next is valedictory session, so please be here in the auditorium. Thank you.
Good morning, Jai Jagannath. A warm welcome to all of you to the valedictory ceremony of 8th National Media Conclave 2024. After the success communication, and also we are having the gracious presence of esteemed Amlan Arokher as a research scholar from Anna University, Chennai, and Professor B.P. Sanjay is with us, Senior Professor of Communication and Media Studies, Manipal Institute of Communication, Dr. Fakir Mohan Naik, Director School of Media and Communication, Faculty of Arts, Manipal University, Jaipur, Rajasthan, and the Chairman of the Conclave and Director of Institute of Media Studies, Professor Upendra Pari, is there. We welcome, with a big round of applause, we welcome all the dignitaries and the dais present over in this valedictory session.
सिंध गुजरात मराठा द्राविड उत्कल गंगा विंध्य हिमाचल यमुना गंगा उच्चल जलधि तरंगा तव शुभ नामे जागे तव शुभ आशीष मांगे गाहे तव जय गाथा जन गण मंगलदायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता जय हे जय हे जय हे जय 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 हे.
Thank you so much. And at the outset, I would like to